Our gospel reading today is John 10, 1 through 10. Now, this is considered the Good Shepherd passage, and this is considered the Good Shepherd Sunday that happens every year on this fourth Sunday of Easter. You've probably already picked up on the imagery of the shepherd and the sheep in the green pasture, so that's going to continue. So if you didn't pick up on it, that's okay. You're going to get some more of it here in just a few moments. So we are also in a sermon series called Where's Jesus? As we are looking very similar to Where's Waldo in the picture books and the hidden pictures, we are training our eyes to look for Jesus around us. And so I invite you to look for Jesus in the scripture today. And this is Jesus speaking. Very truly, I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So don't feel bad when you don't either. So again, Jesus said to them, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. So whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. The Gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So where's Jesus in this scripture? Well, we see him in many ways. He's the narrator, the one speaking, first of all. And we know this because it's in quotes. And he says, I tell you. He's speaking as a teacher, teaching his followers, but also some of the Pharisees. This teaching follows the story of the man born blind, in which some of the Pharisees were discounting that healing. They didn't believe he had been healed, and if so, they were upset that it was done on the Sabbath. So if you remember from that story during Lent, they interrogated the man twice and even questioned his parents and still refused to believe that Jesus healed him. This teaching moment is a continuation of that same conversation about spiritual blindness. Jesus uses the image of sheep and shepherd to illustrate his point that he has welcomed the man born blind into his flock. We know this because if we look closely, there isn't an end quotation mark at the end of chapter 9. When we see that in print, it means the quote continues into the next paragraph or chapter. Now you might be thinking, why are we getting a grammar lesson on punctuation? Because punctuation matters. It helps us understand in this passage who Jesus is speaking to. It helps us see who is still in the crowd. The man born blind may have been there, the disciples, other onlookers lingering after the healing and the argument, and most assuredly, some of the Pharisees. And that matters because it shows us who Jesus is referring to when he calls them thieves and bandits. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. Anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. And the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life. Jesus doesn't soften his words. He says this in front of them. He names what is false and harmful right to their faces. Now, this isn't just about the Pharisees standing there that day. It's about any voice, any system, any way of being that pulls people away from life. Thieves and bandits are the voices that distort truth, the ones that make us question our worth or deny someone else's dignity. They are the forces that exclude rather than gather, that build barriers instead of opening the way. They are anything that steals joy, kills hope, or destroys the kind of life God intends. And if we're honest, those voices are loud. Sometimes they even sound convincing. But Jesus is clear. His sheep do not listen to those voices. He teaches his followers, his sheep, that there is one way into the sheepfold, and that is through the gate. At first, Jesus speaks as the shepherd in this image, an image his listeners would have known well, but they're not quite getting it. They're not quite understanding what he's trying to say. So he shifts the metaphor. He stops implying and starts naming, I am the gate. Where's Jesus? He tells us directly, I am the gate for the sheep. So the Greek word here can also mean door. Jesus is really saying he is the door through which we enter through to receive new life, as we enter it into new life. But to be consistent with the image, it's translated as gate. Well, because, sheep don't walk through doors. They pass through gates. I love doors. I have a thing about doors when I travel. When I visit cathedrals and historic places, my eyes are drawn to them. Doors of every size and shape. Ornate doors designed to invite you in. Hidden doors. I especially like small doors because then I don't feel so short. And almost always, doors are closed. But when I see one open, it stops me. I came across one in Belgium at a working cathedral that drew me in. It wasn't the largest. It wasn't the most beautiful. It didn't have marble columns or breathtaking stained glass. It wasn't the kind of place that would be at the top of a historic landmarks list. In fact, when I did see it down at the bottom, it took me a little while to find where it was located. In fact, the more impressive cathedrals that I visited had something in common. Their doors were closed. They were open only on certain days and times. One even had clear glass at the entrance, so you could stand there and look inside, but not enter. You could see the beauty, You just couldn't step into it. But this one, this quiet, unassuming place was different. Its door was open, or one of them anyway. No barrier, no schedule, no hesitation about whether you belong there or not. It didn't try to impress me, but it welcomed me. Because of that open door, I didn't just admire it from the outside. I stepped inside, and I felt God there. Doors mark something sacred. They are thresholds. They are the space between what was and what will be. We step through them, leaving something behind and entering into something new. They hold that in-between space, that liminal moment where transformation happens. Doors can be complicated. They're often closed for safety. They can protect us depending on which side we're on. They can lock us in, keeping danger out. But if the danger is inside, then we're trapped. If the danger is outside and the door is locked, we're left exposed, searching for safety that we cannot access. The same door can mean something entirely different, depending on where you stand. Yet Jesus said, "Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come and go and find pasture." So this makes me wonder if maybe Jesus isn't describing a door the way we usually think of doors. Not a door that swings shut, not a door that locks, not a door that keeps some in and others out, but something more like a revolving door. A door that is always in motion, always making space for people to enter, to exit, to move freely into life. A door that doesn't trap us on either side, but invites us to keep moving, to keep living, to keep stepping into something new. And here's what I didn't realize until I looked it up. The design of a revolving door is built around a cross. 4 panels set in the form of a cross, turning on a center point. At the very center of the doorway is the cross, which means every movement in and out, every step into life, every crossing of that threshold happens through the cross. Jesus is not the door that locks people out. Jesus is not the door that locks people in. He is the door shaped by the cross, always open, always turning, always inviting us into the life he came to give. In him, there is freedom to come and go, and freedom to live life abundantly. Living abundantly isn't about accumulating wealth or possessions or having more than others. It is about having more than enough joy, more than enough love, more than enough grace. It is life rooted in relationship with Christ, a life where we are not defined by fear of what's on the other side of the door or by hesitation about stepping through it. Jesus tells us plainly, "I came that they may have life." Life is found in him. no matter which side of the door we think we're standing on. If we find ourselves locked inside something harmful, Jesus becomes the way out. If we find ourselves shut out, treated as outsiders, Jesus becomes the way in. He calls us by name and leads us through. So where's Jesus in this passage? He is the narrator and the teacher. He is the gate/door. He is the shepherd, the one who goes ahead of us, the one who knows our names, the one who calls us into life. And for sheep, life means pasture. For sheep, finding pasture is everything. Pasture is where life is sustained. It is where they eat, rest, and are kept safe. Sheep cannot thrive on their own. They depend on being led to good grazing land. So when a sheep finds pasture, it means there is enough food to nourish them, enough safety to settle their nervous bodies, enough space to rest, enough guidance to keep them from wandering into danger, and even a kind of freedom to come and go without fear, because they are held within the care of a trustworthy shepherd. Pasture is not luxury. It is living an abundant life with Christ. And Christ calls us into that life. He knows us intimately. He knows when we've wandered. He knows when we've separated ourselves from the safety of the flock. He knows when we've drifted into dangerous terrain, or when we're grazing along unaware of what's around us. And still, he calls. He calls us by name. And we recognize his voice. We know it because we belong to him. We trust it because he has shown us who he is. We follow it because it leads us somewhere good, toward green pasture, toward abundant life. So where's Jesus? He calls us by name. He calls us to listen for his voice. He calls us to cross the threshold. He calls us away from what harms and toward what gives life. He calls us into a life shaped by grace, sustained by love, and held in abundance.